We're going to start. Thank you all for coming. I know we're competing with a lot, both inside the con and outside the con on this special holiday. As we were mentioning earlier, we're actually competing with Jesus Christ today, so thank you so much for choosing us. This is the local Washington, D.C. sci-fi and horror author panel.
With one import.
Yes, so I'm sorry, what?
One import.
With one import, sorry. But well, that's, yes. Did you get checked by inspections and ICE before you came in?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to report. Every room is closed, so now they're on their way. So
yeah, that's fine.
So what we're going to be talking about today is obviously sci-fi and horror writing. What we have here across the room is a spectrum of authors who have written in different genres, both in horror and sci-fi. All of us have had our individual successes. All of us have had probably numerous failures. So, yes, so we'd love to make this interactive. We want to hear from you guys. Don't want to just us talking. We want to hear what your questions you have and how we can help and how we possibly can help you avoid some of our mistakes that we've made when we were starting out. So I'll start off and then I'll pass it down. My name is Neil Cohen. I'm the author of the Exit Zero Zombie trilogy. I can count, you see only 2 books because the 3rd book is not out yet. My first book, Exit Zero, came out in June of 2016. The 2nd book, Nuke Jersey, came out in June 2017. And the final of the trilogy, Zombie Democracy, will come out in June 2018, so in about 3 months. So very excited. And obviously my genre is zombies. So why? Because chicks dig zombie authors. No. It's just, yes, it's just it is a topic that I'm passionate about, that I've always been a fan. I loved it, but I felt I had a story to tell that was different than had been told before. I wanted to tell my own origin story. I wanted to create my own characters, and I wanted to put them in the zombie apocalypse, and I wanted it to start in New Jersey. So, Jersey out here, I thought I smelled something.
From Jersey, New York.
Because the zombie apocalypse would start in Jersey.
Yeah,
That's what it would happen.
Pharmaceutical companies are,
So, how about ladies first? I'll let you all introduce yourselves.
I'm Kendra Sauer. I'm the author of the Permutation Archives, Miss High novellas, and initiative books. There's just 2 up here, but I have at least 21, 22 in circulation. I actually have my first high fantasy dragon novella coming out in a week, and then the 5th book of this comes out in June. So.
I'm Slade Grayson. Yes, really, that's my name. I have 3 novels out, 2 are horror novels, one's a spy novel. I have 5 or 6 other novels in various stages of development. I'm local, Maryland. So, really? Thanks for coming out. Yay, Maryland. I'm also from Jersey, though. So,
Never knew that about you.
yeah, learn something every day. Thanks.
James Crawford, lifelong resident of the DMV area, I'm sorry. Author of Manly Cheese from Burning Willow Press. Also have a zombie trilogy I don't talk about because I really don't like my publisher. I've got stories. And I also have a supernatural action trilogy in consideration. Working on a YA science fiction, which is quite a deviation from my norm. Yeah, that's about it.
Hi, my name is Timothy Johnson. I'm the author of 2 sci-fi horror novels, Carrier and Village of Dawn. I live in Rockville, so don't make it down here as much as I'd like, but I'll come down to the city. And yeah, I kind of fell into science fiction. I was considering myself more of a horror guy, and I just had this idea that sort of had to take place on a spaceship. So it was like, oh crap, now I have to figure out the engineering aspects of the spaceship that I'm actually going to write about and there's a lot of research involved, and then I had another idea, and it was also a science fiction thing, so this just seems to be a theme for me, and now I consider myself a science fiction author, and I have also various stories published in semi-professional and professional magazines and magazines and whatnot.
I'm Nick DeWolf. Unlike Slade, that's not my real name. I am a twice picked up by publishing companies, twice dropped author. So I have 2 books. One is Frankly Ever After, which was published by a publishing company, and then they went out of business. It had nothing to do with my book, I promise. It's actually decent. So I republished this myself, and then immediately afterwards, this originally came out in 2015, and then I recently published Pulling Strings, which is self-published. Did this. This came out in December of 2017. I'm also a local resident, grew up in Tacoma Park, I've lived here my whole life. Never really considered myself a genre writer. I read almost every book about dragons and trolls when I was a kid, and have never written anything like that because I read so many of them that every time I try, it's just like, oh no, I'm just stealing this. Okay, that's stolen as well. This is okay. I'm just basically taking every book I know and putting it together into a new book, and that's not allowed. So I decided to jump genres, and I try and come up with stories that bend genres and tropes and twist them into a new form and show people something that hopefully hasn't been seen before.
So you heard a lot, like self-publish versus publishers. Both have their pros and cons. Obviously, there's a lot of cons when you're with a publisher. And James would love to hear those stories. And if anyone wants to hear those stories, if you want to keep it,
Read your contracts.
Yeah.
Make sure there's
Always.
no clause.
Yeah.
We'll have to negotiate an account for it.
And one thing, first of all, in the audience, how many people are actually looking to get published or would like to get published? One, two, okay, so we got a number. How many have been published?
Cool.
Okay,
Very
cool.
nice.
So, when I first wrote my first book, quick story, I submitted to the publishers. Everybody said, go pound sand. I self-published, tracked it on Author Central, which is a way to track actual sales, went, promoted it myself, then actually pitched my sales numbers, not the book, to the publisher and said, look, I can sell books. And that's how I got picked up. But I was so excited, I was thinking, wow, this is everything I've ever wanted. Just give me those documents, I'm signing it, I'm initialing, I'm doing whatever, I don't need to read it, don't have time, too busy trying to write this book, and that was it. So, you live with your mistakes. But,
I remember having coffee with a certain someone thanks to LinkedIn.
Yes. I actually, when I first started this, I started going to small press expos and Comic Cons and talking to every publisher, every author I could meet. And then I found the publisher that I had been reading their books, zombie books. They were the #1 publisher of zombie books. I just figured they have to be my guy. I found him on LinkedIn, reached out to him, pestered him until he met me for coffee. Then he realized I wasn't some sort of freak that was trying to hit on him.
Are you sure about that?
Well, okay, I was.
Be honest here.
He didn't. He wasn't my type. So actually, no, I wasn't his type. So anyway, no. But then, but he's the one who hooked me up. But no, it hasn't been bad. It's just that just don't. Had I known a little bit more, not been so rushed in, I wasn't rushed. Not been so eager to do it myself, I would have probably read some more. What about you guys?
Same. One of my publishers is the same publisher that James has, and same thing. I was so glad to get the contract that I just signed it, and then now I see that was kind of a big mistake. I have two of my books are available in audio. My one publisher doesn't believe in doing audiobooks, so I'm kind of stuck because they own the rights, they own the audio rights. That's something I wish I had negotiated, especially since lately I'm making more money from the audiobooks than I am from the print sales. So why does the publisher not want to do audiobooks? I don't know. So things like that, audio rights, movie rights, things like that I wish I had negotiated and at least kept better control of.
Yeah, and it's probably a lot of it, it's more money out of their pocket. And, it's easy right now to self-publish. I'd like to hear you guys' stories on self-publishing. Self-publishing is so easy now.
I'm a huge fan of it. So I've self-published both of these. This was, so what happened to me was I was picked up by a pretty big publisher for a 3-book deal, and I was super excited. 2 of the books, one was done, one was in the process, and one was just a concept. And they said, we love that, we love that, we love that even more. We want all of them. And it was great. They sent me this amazing contract, and I was going to make $1 bazillion. Yay! No. So what ends up happening is, they edit my first book, and they send me some ideas for the cover, and then a week later I get an email that says, we're dropping you, we're cutting you completely, you can keep the edited copy, that's our gift to you. And I was like, oh, thanks, and they did a terrible job. So, got picked up by a second publisher, a really small company out in California. They loved the book, they did another edit, they did a good job, and they gave me a cover that looked like a 4-year-old had drawn it. And it was just, I was so unhappy, and they said, well, this is all we can do. But I got it out, and it got out there, and it was on Amazon, and I wasn't making any money off of it. My first check after like a year and a half was for $8. And I ran the numbers, and that was right. It was just a really terrible experience. And then they ended up going under, and they gave me the rights to the book back. I self-published it, and so I republished it with a new cover, which is what you see here, and within 48 hours I made $25, $30, $40, you know, like, it was just exponential how much faster I made money off of it. And I'm not saying that I make a lot of money. So, I love self-publishing, but there's caveats to it, there's tricks to it. The first thing is that if you go out and you look at self-published books, the first thing you're going to find is, wow, there's a lot of typos in there. And so, for people who are looking to self-publish, I'm going to say that it's not this thing where you can just throw whatever you want out there. You have to really take the time to think about what would it be like if I was going through a publisher? What would they do for me that I'm not thinking about what I'm doing for myself? And the first thing is, you have to find a copy editor. You have to find someone who's going to go through your book and look for every little grammatical and spelling mistake. Because it doesn't matter how good you are, they're going to be in there.
Yeah, just to drive that home, I actually am an editor for my living, and I mean, I make mistakes in my manuscripts.
Yeah, don't edit your own stuff.
Yeah, don't edit your own books. That's like rule number 1. The second thing is, things like LinkedIn, Twitter are awesome because you can find amazing cover artists. There are so many other artists out there in the world right now that are looking for work and are interested in doing things. I found one person to do both of these and did it for a penny, basically, you know? Like, I got a really great deal because there are other artists who are looking to work. But again, this is time and energy you have to put in. So if you're going to self-publish, there's great things that can come from it. You make a lot more money back. Amazon provides you with everything that you need. But Amazon also doesn't care if you turn in a manuscript that's literally upside down and backwards. They're going to put it out there. They don't care if your cover is covered with mistakes and looks terrible. They're going to put it out there. So it's up to you to show your artistic integrity.
Yeah, I mean, just to, I guess, bring in the publisher aspect, I think we all kind of, you know, we all kind of know each other, and we've run the same circles, and we've had similar experiences with similar publishers, and I think Slade, I think you talked about reading the contract. There's even some aspects to reading the contract that aren't going to save you. For instance, if your publisher suddenly decides, hey, we're not going to print books anymore, we're just going to do e-books, and you sign the contract with the understanding that you were going to get a printed book. If you're an author, even if your publisher's not selling print books, having a physical copy is really important because you can come to these things and you can go to events and you can sell your books, and you can't really do that if you don't have a physical copy.
There's only so many Kindles you can give away before you start using money.
It really doesn't make financial sense, but from that aspect, speaking to self-publishing, it's not hard to make a print version. Amazon does make it easy for you. There's other services that you can invest in to help you there. But all that said, I feel like we've dumped on publishers a lot. There's a lot of good publishers out there. So for instance, Vernon,
So small publishers are great. Small publishers are awesome because they're most likely they came from our world. They were writers, they love books, they love it. So looking at small publishers can be really wonderful. They may not provide you with all of the aspects that a big publishing company would, but they're also going to give you more personalized service. They're going to try hard.
I just think that when I first signed my contract, that the publisher would have the vested interest in me as an author and seeing my career grow, because he actually signed his contract for this one book, and I'm going to keep writing. That's what I do with my life. I'm a words person. I'm going to keep writing stories, and then I'm going to come back to them for the second one, and hopefully I'll also be successful, and things would snowball as an author. But most bigger publishers, I'll say, are more invested in that one book. And they're sitting on the opposite side of the table from you. So you really kind of have to protect yourself as the author. But again, there are publishers that I found that are out there that do have that vested interest in seeing the author grow, because they're not in it for the quick buck. They're not in it to monitor the quarterly sales. Yeah, well, they're in for the long run. They want to see you grow as an author, because if you grow as an author, it goes back to the old cliche that rising tides raise all boats.
Yeah, well, it's like the 80-20 rule. I guess they bring in a lot, and then they say, okay, fight it out, guys. We're going to invest, we're going to put in some money, but then that's it. Go out, market your book, sell your book, bring in sales. If we find you financially viable, we're going to bring on possibly your next book. But until you've gotten to the point where just the fact that you've got a book releasing, that people are pre-ordering it, they just don't care. But unfortunately, that's the harsh way of life. You know, it's dog eat dog, and you're going to have to go out there and fight for your share of the eyeball and the wallet. So, I'm sorry, we've been talking a lot. Is there any questions from the audience here? Yes?
Back to the story I'm working on, and well, you ever hit a point where you think there's just too much wording in the story, but you don't know how to simplify it?
All the time.
Welcome to life as a writer. That's it. That's the definition.
So, how do you guys approach that?
I'm sorry, what was the word?
It was basically you've written and you've got so much on the page, and you could probably simplify it down. How do you start making the edits? It's
right.
like literally
The
taking
struggle for
some.
being concise.
Yeah.
Because like the first chapter I'm working on is over like 500 pages, and that was just the first few.
That's a big first chapter.
That's longer than both my first two books combined.
So there's a lot of ways to do it. There's books out there that will show you these things and talk about it. But there's a basic rule, which is if you look at a sentence and you count how many words are in it, and let's say there's 10 words in the sentence, you ask yourself, how can I say that in 8 words? And then you find which words are not necessary. And then you look at it and that's 8 words and you say, how can I say that in 6 words? And you just keep doing that throughout your entire book. And now that's tedious and that's long. The other thing that I have done, because when I first wrote Correctly Ever After, it came in at about 76,000 words was the final product. The original version was 150,000. So I cut it down by about half. Which goes back to a very old saying that I'm sure a lot of you have heard, which is kill your darlings. Or drown your darlings, or whatever the phrase may be. There's been a lot of variations. Okay, so it's an old phrase, and basically what it means is that if you really want to create something that is clean and precise and cut and doesn't just drag on, you're going to have to get rid of the things that mean something to you. And yes, that quip may be wonderful. Yes, that action scene may be fantastically written. Yes, this character is just so cool to you, but are they necessary to the story?
Absolutely true.
And if they are not, they must be killed. They must go. And there's always a way to do that. You can always cut things out. I cut out entire storylines from this book. And then I ended up replacing them with things that were better.
Yeah. Have you read On Writing by Stephen King?
Yeah.
On Writing by Stephen King?
Oh, okay.
I highly recommend it if you're going to write.
Every writer should.
Yeah. Yep.
The Elements of Style also is a great book that teaches you how to trim down. It was written by the person who taught the author of Charlotte's Web,
E.B. White.
Thank you. E.B. White. And was E.B. White's instructor on writing, and it's all about make it shorter, 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 now it's good. Make it shorter, make it shorter, now it's great. So it's about trimming things down, but yeah, on writing, I see things
Look
also.
at authors like Hemingway.
Yeah.
Hemingway is tight. He does so much in a single sentence. It's evocative. I can't name anybody else who pulls that off.
The first page of The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway, in the first paragraph, he gives you everything you need to know about one of the major characters in one paragraph, and he shows this person's inner soul right away. And it's simple and clean, and he cuts down to the heart of what is important about this person, and he puts it on the page. And from there on, everything else is great. So when you're looking at trimming the book down, it's a tough thing to do, and it's hard, and it's difficult, and it's painful sometimes. But you have to ask what's best for the story.
I've got 8 copies.
Fountain pens are one.
Silver Spitting cartoon fountain pens. If I need to get rid of writer's block, I write something entirely different.
Yeah.
That's how a couple of stories have been published and haven't been, is I've jumped genres. I started out with horror and zombies. There's a story in there too. Urban supernatural. I jumped into supernatural action with a female character. I wrote a trilogy back to back, and I've never done that before. And I've got notes for up to 6 books, because she's so much fun, and the environment is so much fun. Writer's block, just do something creative. You know, whether it's, I'm gonna go take a pottery class, or cartoon on Instagram.
Actually, like when I'm not writing my story, I'm just always thinking of like new characters, new places on the spot.
Write it down.
Yeah.
Write short
And,
stories.
and with the phone, you know, with the cell phone, I email myself constantly. Anything, ideas, a funny idea, a funny line, a funny, I was like, oh, that should be in something. Constantly. The only problem is it gets overwhelming. Like I've got notes scribbled here, scribbled there, pieces of paper, emails, text messages, and then you're trying to jumble all together. But that's the one thing, because I'll forget. I literally, mine like a sieve. It's part of today where you just, if you get something, write it down, send it to yourself, and then chances are you look at it tomorrow and you're like, holy cow, that was a funny damn line, and I would have forgotten it. I don't even remember when thinking of that.
And you should see how many sticky notes I have stuffed in my bag because I'll be at my day job and gotta write it down and just stuff it in there.
Terrifying me. It's
Very
Whiteboards. Whiteboards are great. Whiteboards and corkboards are fantastic. Put a whiteboard up somewhere in your house and just keep markers with it all the time. And as somebody comes to you, just jot it down. And the next thing you know, you'll have all these lines and circles and everything's running around. And you look at it and you go, oh, that's actually a short story that I've got right there. I just gotta type it out. Nah, I'd rather have a coffee. You know, like, this is how it goes.
Well, I'm conspiracy theory.
Yeah. And then you realize, I've solved an equation. I'm the son of a writer, and one of the things, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I was just gonna say, one of the things he always said to me was, if you can't write your novel, write a short story. If you can't write a short story, write a poem. If you can't write a poem, write a haiku. If you can't write a haiku, write a grocery list. Write something. Always be writing. And it doesn't matter what you're working on as long as you're always working.
Yes. I wrote stuff when I was a kid. I wrote, like, I remember kids' stories. Like, I still remember Gary the Grasshopper was. And I wrote 2 stories with Gary the Grasshopper. But what happened with me is, my friends, I remembered all of our wacky adventures of growing up. I was the one that remembered. I probably was the only one who wasn't drinking. And so we had this email chain of my friends from high school. It's basically like an email fight club, and the basic rules are make each other laugh. There's nothing off the table. You know, family, job, personal experiences, bust each other's chops, make the group laugh, and we're on it all the time. And I used to share all these stories about from high school, and they were like, "This is, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't remember that. I don't remember any of that. You just brought back so many memories. That was such a funny time." So for them, I wrote all those stories down, and they wanted me to write a book. And so I wrote it all down. I said I would never publish this because, you know, we're all gonna be, you know, in going to jail. So, so I said, but then I got to the end, and I said, well, this is funny and it's entertaining, but to who? To us, because we were there, and every single person has their own stories of drinking in woods, getting chased by cops, so no one cares about this. But
Not everyone has that story, and that should not be a goal.
Yeah. This was the 80s.
Small child.
But I said, so this is, you know, it's interesting, but not very. So I had written this zombie short story that I loved, and then I just said, well, what if I took these characters and exaggerated the hell out of them and put them into the zombie circumstance of the zombie short story, and then the first book came about. But it took, from the beginning to end, it was 3 years, from, you know, till I finally had something written. What about you guys? First things written. Why do they look like they look? Why do they do? Why do they act? Why are they even there? Why are they attacking people? There's no explanation. And sometimes they'll do something stupid. Oh, a meteor went by, or some space station, or it was a nuclear release, or something like that. I wanted real backstory on exactly, and like for my virus, they're addicted living. So they're not supernatural, they're not reanimated dead, they are living, they are existing of a virus. Now the virus has only affected 3 people in the world known, and it's really a crustacean virus, but I explain how it comes from the crustacean species and gets mixed with the humans. Then I also, you know, they start out, the beginning of the movie I love, the beginning of the book I love, where no one knows what's going on, something's happening. There's something happening, and it seems weird, and people think, oh, it's a terrorist, or it's mass uprising, or it's riots, or there's a virus going around, but people are acting weird, it's rape. And then finally, people are starting to realize that something is really big here, and then it gets big. And then the third thing is, after you get to that part where that's really great, then it's, bam, they're in the mall, and they're just killing zombies, killing zombies, killing zombies, killing zombies. And, you know, what happened? You know, or they're just, you know, zombie-killing ninjas. Where are the salespeople? Where are the lawyers? Where are the, you know, where are the people that, did they all die? Like, we all don't all have the special ops ability to survive. So how would the normal people survive? And then finally, I always thought, in all of the genres, society absolutely collapses pretty quickly, and then it's just no man's land, Mad Max area, kind of, with just zombies roaming in. And I just feel that that's not true. It's not going to happen. Society is not going to collapse. We're not going to become, you know, people will work together, and we're going to just exactly adapt. And in my book, it shows the zombie apocalypse happens and life goes on. Government doesn't fall, business doesn't fall, dating and relationships don't, people still have to go out and work and meet people and date, and you just do it with zombies all around in a constant threat zone. So anyway, sorry, I am that. Next, son was a contracts lawyer, and afterwards he read it and told me, never sign one like this again, but here's all the things that you should look for, and didn't really charge me.
Yeah, but you would make sure it's a high quality one too, because if it's not like me, you'll have one that goes, yeah, sign it.
Yeah, and because you don't know what you don't know, and that's unfortunately it's why they get the big bucks. So I'm sorry, this lady here, and then right behind her. Yes.
Yeah, a hybrid approach has been really popular lately. So I was just curious what your all's takes were. So if you're indie, would you ever go back to a small press? If you're small press, would you ever go indie or consider a big five?
I'm actually both. So I started off with the same publisher that they did, and had a horrible experience and just left, and then started my own with my husband. So we're small press. So I've got indie on my side and small press. I actually have one book that is self-published. There are a lot of pros and cons to each. It largely depends on where you want to take your career and how far you want to go. And how far
Oh my God, I hate talking about my book to people. I hate going to cons now. You've got to be at cons, you have to be at Small Press Expo, you have to be at whatever. Like I do all the Walker Stalker cons, I do New Jersey cons. You have to be out there and promoting social media.
And honestly, you have to do that even if you get with a big publisher. Because most big publishers don't promote you.
You can make publishers doing less now.
I'm sorry, the gentleman that.
I was just going to dovetail back on your comments. As a lawyer, I'd still go out and pay another lawyer to read the contract.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm married to a lawyer, so.
My friend's a personal injury lawyer. I wouldn't trust him as a contract lawyer. You know, he does what he does. Back there.
Your story is your story. And it's a beast, and it's a thing, and it's a living thing, and as long as you can put breath into it, then it's worth it.
And if it's not a living thing, stop.
And that goes back to something that I hear a lot is read what you want to write. Well, write what you want to read.
If you're stuck on something, jump to another part of the story. Write a chapter that happens later in the book.
It's okay. Rapid fire, worst sci-fi or horror or anything cliche or trope that you just absolutely can't stand.
Sure.
Wait, did you say shirts?
Sharknado.
Oh, Sharknado.
Sharknado.
I thought you said shirts.
No, I like shirts.
Oh,
Every character's
Shirts are good.
the male protagonist hero who just comes in and is tough as nails
Yes.
and has been preparing for this their whole lives. I don't care about them.
This is
I have no
where I
interest in
use-
them. Yeah, I hate that. It's stupid. And also the idea that you have a protagonist that is well trained and prepared for anything, then what's the point? Give me weak, scared people any day of the week.
What about the abusive family?
And, yeah,
Different thing.
yeah, like for me, there's no people that are just pure. There's no all good or all bad. That's the best thing. Some people, you have to develop characters, and it can't just be Superman who is just pure goodness, and other guys are purely evil and without any kind of reason why.
Battlestar Galactica
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, was there any other ones? I think we're coming up. Yeah, we want to be respectful of the
One
panel.
last one?
Yes, last one, and we'll go down the
What's
list.
your favorite author and why?
Authors and why, you said?
Elmer Leonard for dialogue,
Yeah.
Richard Madison for story concepts, and I guess Robert E. Howard just for sheer imagination.
I'm going to say his name wrong because I've heard it 1,000 ways. Chuck Palahniuk. Palahniuk, thank you. That's like the 8th way that I've heard it. His writing is so unbelievably crisp. His later novels I'm not a huge fan of, but his early work is amazing. If you've never read Invisible Monsters, it will blow your mind open. I like Richard Matheson for his short stories.
Still,
Was that?
you stole the one I said.
Yeah, I know, but he's still good. And though everyone says it, I did have to put it out there, Stephen King. There's a reason Stephen King is Stephen King. And especially if you read a book called Write Like the Masters, jump to the last chapter, and that's why Stephen King is a master, and he puts it more succinctly than I can.
I'm probably one of those few people that's actually written more books than I've read. The 2 books I've liked is Bret Ellis Easton, the Less Than Zero is one of my all-time favorite books. Oh my God! And Max Brooks, obviously, World War Z. The book, not the movie. The movie sucked.
Yeah,